Namaste.
Namaste.
How's everybody today?
Wonderful.
Yes. Well, I am happy that y'all are here. I'm happy that I'm here. Yeah, it's a little,
Happy to be here.
it's a little bug going around. So
Right.
yesterday I was out for the count.
Like that.
Yeah. So anyway, happy Mother's Day to the mother in the house and to anybody that's listening via Facebook or YouTube. We want to extend happy Mother's Day as well to each and every one of you. And today our message is one of motherhood, but within the context of the Most High Heavenly One. I say that because it's important for us to understand the purpose of motherhood. Of course, we'll deal with fatherhood another time, and we will touch on fatherhood because you can't really touch on motherhood without touching on fatherhood to some extent. So today we started off in the original books of the Bible, reading about the Most High Heavenly One. Now what's important for us to realize and understand is that when we talk about the Most High Heavenly One, as we've said many times before, and I'll keep reiterating it because it's important that we grasp exactly what the Most High Heavenly One is and how the Most High Heavenly One manifests within each and every one of us. So when we look at the celestial heavens, you can see pictures of the Hubble telescope or go online and you can view, things that are light years away from this planet. And it's almost too much to take in with regards to how vast the universe is. And when we look at the universe, we're looking at all matter. We're looking at all space and all time as we know it. All matter, all space, and all time as we know it. And I have to say as we know it because the Most High Heavenly One, Ray, is that which exists outside of all space, all time, and all matter. Now where am I going with this? If we look at everything that is in the universe and that makes the universe what it is, we have to consider that whatever the universe is composed of, and I'm going to take my time here because I don't want to necessarily confuse the matter, right? But for example, if the universe is made up of substance U for universe, right? Substance U. And the universe then in turn, out of that you have galaxies, you have solar systems, you have planets, and we can go right down the line. Everything that, for example, is in a solar system, that solar system created itself out of the galaxy. The galaxy made or created itself out of the universe. The universe and the universes, what do they create themselves out of? What the best definition that we can give it is Ray. And Ray is a state that exists before what we even know as existence. Now what does that mean? That sounds crazy, that sounds weird, that sounds, what are we talking about? When does something actually exist? to you?
You can touch, feel, analyze it, think about it.
Yes, when you can touch it, smell it, taste it, etc., etc. Yes?
Yeah.
Which is why when we look at the chapter 1, page 44, and it read, "Hear our prayer, O humanity. The Most High Heavenly One, Anere, did manifest a portion from within that became the selected one who sits in the seat of Anu, which was not always perceivable as the green or emerald solar illumination, but instead through slowing down his own etheric vibrational rate, actually created or grew and manifested a portion of that which was within into a green or emerald solar illumination, which allowed him to be witnessed or observed by all creation as yellow." So the only way that we would have an understanding of the Most High Heavenly One is when the Most High Heavenly One slowed down its vibration so that it could be observed and perceived. The Most High Heavenly One is observed and perceived on all realms. Alright? The first being Lahut, the abode where the Most High personifies as the selected one who sits in the seat of Anu, the one appointed from amongst the gaseous beings. So those gaseous beings are able to perceive the Most High Heavenly One. And then we have the second level, Jabarut, the abode where the Most High Heavenly One personifies as Mikael, the one anointed from amongst the ectoplasmic energy beings called Etherians or thrones. The third level being Malakut, the abode where the Most High personifies as the angelic heavenly hosts led by Gabriel, which are divided into two groups, one headed by Iman Anuel, the one anointed from amongst the chosen manifested beings called Seraphim, and Seraphim that do manifest amongst humanity, and the other, the fourth, Nasut, headed by the prince of this world, Samael, the one anointed from amongst the fallen manifested beings called Cherubim that do also manifest amongst humanity. So we go from this state that's beyond the universe, alright, all the way into these four levels, of which we are on the fourth realm for the most part, called Nasut, the physical realm, alright, that's all intertwined. These levels of existence are all intertwined, and the Most High finds a way to manifest itself on all of these four levels. So, how does this tie into Mother's Day and motherhood and parenting? It ties in a very special way, because once a child is born, and you really don't, it's rare to have memories, obviously, of birth and, even the first few years of your life. You may have some small memories here and there, but even from that point in time where you don't even have a memory of, the Most High existed. But how did the Most High exist with regards to you as an individual? Because that's really what's important. What's important isn't necessarily what's in this book or what people say, but how is the Most High relating to you? When we say Anere, Anere is the self-contained one who rules and perceives all, inclusive of the state of nothingness. I'll say it again. So Anere is self-contained. Okay? Self-contained as one. What does it mean? It means all forces, all elements, all attributes, everything that we know in existence working together as one. Today you know it as ecology. Some people say cybernetics. I mean, there's all type of fancy words. nature systems within systems. There's all these different terms for it. But if you really focus on nature as a whole and observe it, you'll see that there are all these systems working together as one. And this system, or these systems working together as one, is a manifestation of the Most High Heavenly One that we know as An-Ne-Re. So An-Ne-Re is the self-contained one who rules and precedes all. So that state that was even before the universe as we know it. Okay, because it's preceding that. And it says it even existed before the state of nothingness. What is the state of nothingness? In order for a state of something to be created, there had to be a space for those things to fit in. That space is called a space of nothingness. Okay, scientists may refer to it as subatomic particles, but the reality of the situation is that's all based on your reference point. If your reference point is that of atoms, or I should say that whereby the elements in the periodic table are manifesting everything around you, then the state before these elements existed as you know them becomes a state of nothingness. Alright? So, in the original books of the Bible, we jump into our explanation of the Most High Heavenly One. I'll just start right at the beginning, on page 11. The Holy Qubtic Church holds that the holy and most sacred name of the Most High Heavenly One, who is formless and invisible, yet allows a portion of and from within to take on form, thereby becoming visible within various generations, is An-Ne-Re. So An-Ne-Re, in its purest form, is not perceivable unless it is on the same vibrational rate of that which is perceiving it. Am I clear on that? In order for something, for you to perceive it, it has to be aligned with the same vibrational rate that you're on. So for example, everything that we see falls within the light spectrum of 400 to 700 nanometers. They call that visible light. The visible light spectrum. Anything lower than 400 nanometers or anything greater than 700 nanometers, we are not able to see it like we see in right now. Alright? So that's an example of us perceiving a portion of this light spectrum. The whole light spectrum would be an example of the Most High Heavenly One. But we existing or seeing on the 400 to 700 nanometers, we are experiencing only a portion of the Most High Heavenly One, or a portion of the light spectrum. This taking on of form is done in order to allow the Most High Heavenly One to feel and perceive that which humanity is experiencing, in order that the guardian angelic hosts be given proper programming and guidance as to how they must interact with and instruct humanity. Now, that's pretty interesting, because we've always been told that God knows everything and is everywhere and is all powerful. But in the Qubtic Church, what we are understanding is that the Most High Heavenly One is allowing itself to be perceived, or as it says here, it takes on, this taking on of form is done in order to allow the Most High Heavenly One to feel and perceive that which humanity is experiencing. So that means the Most High Heavenly One has something to learn from us too then. We can see how this ties into motherhood. I mean, yeah, because we have to get into how this relates to motherhood. And just bear with me, I just want to create the context first. Okay? It says, do you picture the Most High Heavenly One as a person or a thing? Is the Most High Heavenly One male or female? If a person, is that person white, black, red, or yellow? Could that person be short or tall, with a beard or without? And if you conceive the Most High Heavenly One as a thing, what kind of thing? A point, a sphere, a cube, or perhaps a star? The moon, the sun? By now you should get our point. When you start defining the Most High, you're only going to define it by what you know as a thing or as a person, etc., etc., etc. Yes? Yet, the sad reality is that countless Greco-Romanized transcribers and mistranslators of the scriptures who did not completely understand those documents did end up misleading countless members of humanity with the misunderstood statement, in the image of God created he him. As a result of this misunderstood statement, members of humanity were given a concept of he, a gender which is male, which is misleading and has resulted in a distorted idea of the Most High Heavenly One. The truth is that the Most High Heavenly One is beyond gender and personality. Instead, the Most High Heavenly One, by whatever name members of humanity consciously or unconsciously choose, is an infinite, living, eternal, mental precept principle. An infinite, living, eternal, mental precept principle. Simply put, when members of humanity gaze into space, you are looking into the mind of the Most High Heavenly One. And as such, we are able to see things that have manifested. Things like stars, suns, moons, planets, and solar systems. Yes, galaxies, worlds, and the universe itself are manifested or proof of existence, of pre-existence. Existence, pre-creation, creation, recreation, procreation, making, and fashioning. All before our eyes, by looking out into space. Because there's things going on out in space that have not even manifested here on this planet yet, with regards to the state or the point in existence that those things are existing in, or the point that they're existing at. In some instances, they're before the point in existence where we are existing. So you could actually witness the Most High Heavenly One in action by looking out into space. Because everything that happens to you first happens where? Well, in the mind first. So when it says you're looking out into space, you're looking out into the mind of the Most High. You see what I'm saying? You're looking out into the place where things started or began to manifest before they manifested here, what you know as Earth today. Alright, I'm going to keep this as simple as possible, because it could get confusing, but it doesn't have to be. It says, thus once members of humanity learn to understand that the Most High Heavenly One is an infinite living consciousness, then when the statement is made, man was created in God's image, then we will be able to realize that the word man, better yet humanity, must mean and represent the eternal mental precept principle in whose image humanity was created, with all the attributes, elements, principles, chemicals, and components, making humanity an important aspect of the Most High Heavenly One and Meadow. Lost through the ages, the true understanding of who and what humanity is, the humanity that was created has been lost due to misinterpretation by untrained theologians of Greco-Romanized origins and teachings, having absolutely no knowledge of Tamarian cosmology. Yet these untrained Greco-Romanized theologians were the same who were commissioned to interpret and transcribe the ancient manuscripts and scriptures that so many people in this latter day accept as the Word of God. Now don't get dismayed thinking we are against the Bible, but that is not the case. What we are saying is that the present day versions of the Bible have unfortunately been transcribed by those who are not so qualified in languages nor in the teaching of the angelic mystery schools, and as a result humanity has ended up with the wrong understanding of the real mind called humanity, that was created in the image and likeness of divinity. Now, in order for this name, the most divine of names, to remain holy, sacred, and revered, none can be allowed, for whatever reason, to mistranslate or misinterpret it, though many Greco-Romanized minds have attempted to do so by calling the Most High Heavenly One by the names of Canaanite, Greek, Roman, Indo-Arabs, Armenian, Teutonic, and Germanic gods, namely El, Alat, Allah, Baal, God, Jehovah, deity, and Hut. Yet, An-Re, who is the self-contained one, who rules and precedes all, inclusive of the state of nothingness, as the Most High Heavenly One existed before the beginnings of everything which came forth out of creation, both in the heavens and the earth, the Holy Qubtic Church teaches that because for something to exist, there must exist what it takes for that thing to exist. And this is where we can slow down. The Holy Qubtic Church teaches this because for something to exist, there must exist what it takes for that thing to exist. What this means is that as the universe exists, there must exist what it takes for the universe to exist or grew within. Let's read that again. What this means is that as the universe exists, there must exist what it takes for the universe to exist or grew within. This, of course, leads to the next realistic question. What does it take for the universe to exist? The answer is, what it takes for the universe to exist cannot exist within the universe or be bounded by the space, time, or matter of the respective universes. That's what we just talked about earlier. Alright? So, therefore, what it takes for the universe to exist must transcend both space, time, and matter, which is none other than An-Re, the self-contained one who rules and precedes all, inclusive of the state of nothingness. Yet An-Re is not meant to replace our physical mother or father, as this creates the notion that motherhood and fatherhood, which is a requirement for all parents, is not necessary, whereby many unconscious members of humanity make statements such as long as I have my Jesus, or my God, etc., I don't need anyone else. Instead, the scriptures teach humanity that we were never intended to survive on our own, just as no earthly mother nor father should be seen as possessing the fullness of matriarchal or patriarchal authority. For in accordance with the precept of divine unity that belongs to the Most High Heavenly One, An-Re only, all earthly parenthood is derived from An-Re. Thereby the Most High Heavenly One is not meant as a replacement for parenthood, because the reality is that He placed a portion from within as the source into the hearts, minds, and blood of every member of humanity and each individual's behavior. So now we can come in to the reality of how parenthood extends from the Most High Heavenly One. Parenthood extends from the Most High Heavenly One. And of course, today being Mother's Day, we focus just a little bit more on motherhood. Thereby the presence of divinity, that is An-Re, manifests in the form of both motherhood and fatherhood. This means it is the responsibility of every member of humanity to permeate the presence of the Divine One into and towards the lives of all we encounter, thereby being able to effectively steer the lives of the next generation of the children, that they can bring back balancement and atonement to all humanity in such a way as to guide humanity back towards the naturalness and appreciation of nature, which is the way humanity is supposed to be. So looking at that particular paragraph there, we have to ask ourselves, as we know, but it's good to always hear, who is the first teacher of the children? The mother and the father, but most specifically the mother, because children are more mother-centric when they're first born. When the first couple of months and even years, they want nothing to do with us. Alright? Mommy, the nurturer, is what they're looking for. They they cling on to mommy. And mommy is the one that teaches them first and foremost with regards to the complete combination of that child coming out of the mother first. You know, half of the child is in the mother, half of the child is in the father. The father places his portion of the child into the mother, and the completed child is brought forth by the mother. So the mother is the first teacher of the child. It goes on to say, the Most High Heavenly One, Anere, being the divine parent of all existence, does allow all creation, including humanity, to face or receive the results of our actions. This is because the Most High Heavenly One, Anere, being the sustainer of all existence, has a dual personality, both of which are flexible and changeable. Simply put, the dual personality of Anere is such that the makeup of each personality, in accordance with Ma'at, through time and age, gradually alter their response for better or worse in harmony with the changing times or environments. This precept principle of duality, twins or paired dualistic powers, appear in many Tamarian or ancient African creation stories, such as amongst the Fawn people of West Africa, who speak of the first mother, Nana Buluku, who gave birth to the twins, Mawu, which is the moon, and Lisa, which is the sun, the parents of all the other guardians who are also born in sets of twins. The notion of a supreme creator appears throughout Africa, where upon close research, those Nubian Melaninites of the diaspora will find amongst the Bushongo people of the Congo region the creator called Bumba, the sole inhabitant of a watery universe, until he vomited up the sun, which dried the water. Then he vomited up the first animals and peoples. You see, when Anere influenced 23 chromosomes from mother and 23 chromosomes from the father to merge, it was done under the controlling powers of two governing forces of duality, namely Hu, the masculine polarity, and He, the feminine polarity. This is because when we look at the Tamaraic word for father, we get Uba or Buba or Baba, which represents a double portion of two sets of chromosomes. From this word comes the Aramaic Hebrew word for father, Ab, as found in Psalm 68 and 5, which is inclusive of the feminine, thereby called Hu-He, which becomes Hua, and Yahuwah, which through dyslexia becomes YHWH. Okay, so again, just reading all this to get the context of where we're going into place. Motherhood or parenthood, and this is something that's very crucial in this day and time, because I don't know how much you've been watching the news, but you have this whole idea or this agenda of same-sex marriage. I mean, every time you turn on the TV, Obama is supportive of it, you know, and you know, not to knock him, because he's everybody's president, so I can't say you know, what he should have done with regards to being re-elected and all that stuff. That's his politics. But as it regards the reality of keeping nature in its fit form, we understand that that's out of order. Because if we learn in here that the Most High is controlling two sides, there's a duality, then to bring two men together and two women together is totally out of whack. Totally out of whack. You see, there's no Mother's Day without a Father's Day. There's no Mother's Day without a Father's Day. And so while we appreciate the mother today, we understand that all mothers were made mothers by a father in this day and time. So it goes on to say furthermore that these 23 chromosomes are not just a matter of It's not just these cells coming. There's actual force that comes along with these chromosomes. Alright? Who being the masculine and he being the feminine. Alright? As such, the feminine polarity of the Most High Heavenly One manifests through each nurturing female and protective father who, as members of humanity, allows them to become willing extensions of the Most High Heavenly One and narrate. Yet something has happened to this genetic pre-encoding whereby so many members of humanity no longer personify or permeate the Divine One in their daily actions. So the purpose of parenthood, and in particular motherhood on this Mother's Day, is to permeate or personify the Most High, or the portion of the Most High that was placed in you. You understand that the Most High to your children is both of you coming together and living your purpose. Mothers doing what mothers do best, and fathers doing what fathers do best. Because as it says here, the Most High Heavenly One manifests through each nurturing female, which means one of the first attributes of the woman is to nurture. Because you're the one that nurtures the child for 9 months inside your womb. While the father is that which protects the mother while she is nurturing. So that's the first thing that's wrong with our society today. We don't know our role. We don't know our role, and because we don't know our role, things are out of whack. We can't figure out why this thing is so off center and off balance. But the reality is, you were given a role, and you must find it. Thus, when we say the Most High Heavenly One, which many call Father, the word Ab must not be used to denote masculine gender, but instead it means the one from which we all come forth or proceed from. Yet when the Greco-Romans got involved, they only felt that life came forth from the earthly father, thus made Baba or Bibi, Uba or Abba and Uba, etc. seem as if it is just a male, when in fact it originally meant that from which we have all come forth. Nataru Elohim, the all-inclusive and complete aspect, principles, attributes, chemicals, elements, guardians, and nurturing forces. This thereby teaches all humanity that Abana includes the male and female polarities and principles of all components of existence and creation. Furthermore, in order that you gain a better understanding of the Most High Heavenly One, humanity must merge back with the source of all creation. In order to do this, members of humanity cannot continue on the path whereby we allow certain media outlets to define what the principles of father and mother really represent. And this is where we get in trouble. Because, yes, I can side with the mothers who say, yeah, but, you know, the man, after he had the children, he just left. He didn't do what he's supposed to do. He leave me with these children, which means I have to go work. I got to be mommy and dad. So what am I supposed to do if he didn't step up? Right? And I feel for that mother. I feel for the father who, the wife, after she done had children, now she realized, oh, you know, I didn't really get to live my life. So now I ready to go back to the club. And you know what I'm saying? And she ain't there for her children. Right? So, what are they to do? Well, first of all, we're going to take a couple steps back. Because you chose separation.
That's right.
Let's just start there. Let's just start there. That's the place we don't like to go to. Women don't love to, or neither men. We don't love to say, well, I chose that person. That person was the apple of your eye. That person was everything that you thought you could ever want in life, in a person. You just knew that this was the one for you. So what happened? Who do you have to blame in part for your failed relationship? You! Check yourself. I'm not saying you must sit down and cry about it, because the children gotta eat, they gotta go to school. You know, life just ain't give it that kind of time. You see? So motherhood is not easy when you don't have the father there. Why? Because that wasn't your role to be the father. Likewise, it's not the role of the father to be the mother. Children need mommy and daddy. Or in the case where a parent has passed on, then the Most High makes it available for a male role model or female role model to be in place. As painful as it is, you still can learn from someone who's not your mother or your father, right? So the role of the mother and the father is embedded within the Most High Heavenly One, insofar as the Most High Heavenly One is manifesting itself by way of the mother and the father to create these children, as it says in the book of Malachi chapter 2, a righteous seed. The Most High Heavenly One wants a righteous seed. What does that mean? That means that the Most High Heavenly One cannot truly be alive on this realm if we are not manifesting the Most High Heavenly One. We have to see our purpose in this. Because we just read earlier where the Most High uses us to gain certain experiences so that He can know how to help us. Or so that she can know how to help us. So that it can know how to help us. And if we've been taught that you're supposed to be this helpless thing, and the Most High is just going to know exactly what it is that you need, and everything will be fine. But is that true? Is that true for a mother? Does a mother know exactly what the child needs? No. The mother has to find out. Okay, well, I know you're crying, but why are you crying? Okay, you ate already. Okay, you're dry. Okay, it's not cold in here. It's not hot. What are you crying for? And you find out the child just wanted their teddy bear. Okay, well, you don't have to cry for the teddy bear. You know, we could communicate. We could point, and you start to teach them, okay, you don't have to cry. Because that's all they know how to do at first, is to cry. But you have to find out what it is that this child wants in order that you can help the child. It's the same thing that the Most High asks of us. We have to be able to communicate with the Most High, and then communicate with the Most High Heavenly One then in turn does for us what we need it to do. So the whole idea of parenting, if we look at being a parent from the aspect of just understanding that it's your job to stay in tune with the Most High Heavenly One, so that the Most High Heavenly One could use you to permeate this realm, this physical world, then I think we would have a less selfish approach to being a parent, to being a mother, or to being a father, right? Huh? Yes, that's why I said we touch it again.
When you say the Most High,
yes, it makes it you.
And it makes it simple.
Yes,
it's very.
Yes, that's why.
Good.
Good. I'm very happy that.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to touch on it. I know it's Mother's Day, but the mother and father come together. It's a package deal. If we thought that way, we wouldn't allow our careers and all of the things that we think are so important to come before being a parent, come before being a father and a mother to our children, right? It goes further now to say, I'll jump back. Furthermore, in order that you gain a better understanding of the Most High Heavenly One, humanity must merge back with the source of all creation. That's how you meet the Most High. You have to, merge in with it. In order to do this, members of humanity cannot continue on the path whereby we allow certain media outlets to define what the principles of father and mother really represent. This is sad because Ane Ray, as the ruling manifested radiance, is not able to be lessened or diminished, thus cannot have the two polarities, namely protector and nurturer, separated, as this would violate the principle of divine harmonious unity causing members of humanity to lack true understanding, since there is one thing which the Most High Heavenly One Ane cannot do in terms of humanity, which is become less than that which is within, as that would be a form of regression, making the source no longer the source. Okay? To put it another way, if anything, namely the nurturing feminine polarity, is taken from Ane, that would render the Most High Heavenly One incomplete. A thought which we seek forgiveness for even mentioning. Yet, through the principle of the divine harmonious unity, humanity is allowed to differentiate all the divine portions of Ane, namely the guardian angelic hosts, attributes, and elements, thus being allowed to properly understand the messages, events, situations, and thoughts behind all which is recorded in all the scriptures. As such, original Qubtic doctrines and those who adhere to them have no problem declaring that Ane is far more compassionate and nurturing than the most compassionate and nurturing of mothers, and Ane is far more courageous and purposeful than the most courageous and purposeful of fathers. So you are a portion of the Most High Heavenly One that's manifested in this realm, and especially for your children. And especially for your children, because when they see you, they're seeing the Most High. When they see you together, and that's what's a big problem in our society today. Mothers and fathers are not together. They're not together, even if they are physically. They're not together mentally. Even if they're together mentally, sometimes jobs have to be separated. One got to live this way. So the society is in balance, and therefore we are in balance, I should say, and therefore the society is not balanced. It goes now further to say, in the case of the divine harmonious unity, divine harmonious unity. This is a big precept that's missing. They're challenging this precept with this same-sex marriage nonsense, right? And I say nonsense in the true sense of the word. Nonsense. There's no battery. The battery can have two positive ends and be a battery, be a generator. That's what the mother and the father, they generate life. You see? So that's nonsense. In the case of divine harmonious unity, Ane begins the first tonation of existence, and the countless manifestations, inclusive of the guardian angelic hosts, elements, and attributes, continue this original tone all the way through the points of creation. So each aspect of the Most High Heavenly One is a tone. So the elements are a particular tone. The attributes are a tone. The guardian angelic hosts are a tone. And the parents themselves are a tone. You have to carry this tone with you everywhere you go. Right? This divine harmonious unity is based on the musical chords of 1, 3, 5, and 7, which becomes manifested within the greater angelic mysteries as the original Qubtic quality of sacrificial Father, Blessed Mother, willing Son, and Holy Soul. Yet this original Qubtic quality does manifest in the lesser angelic mysteries as the Trinity, that is, An, which is the ruler in the flesh as Father, Ne, which is the hidden darkness of creation in the flesh of the womb of the mother, and Re, which is the genetic strength in the flesh of the child. The doctrine of Qubtic Trinity, which forms a part or portion of all those who have been deemed balanced in true faith, whereby every family that exists derives its form from Ane Re as a father within the Trinity. Thereby, it is time that humanity learns to keep the divine name pure by once again calling out, utilizing the name of the Most High Heavenly One, Ane Re. This be right because Ane Re, the Qubtic Trinity, has both feminine and masculine characteristics. The feminine aspects were created into the female as mother, while the masculine aspects were created into the male as father. Thus, both female and male members of humanity are absolutely equal in worth, value, intelligence, and will, as they both reflect the nature of Ane, as found in Genesis 1:27, Genesis 2:7, and Isaiah 49 and 15. Alright? So, the importance of the sermon today is for us to know our role as mothers and fathers. Because if we know this role, it's harder for us to get caught up on our own agenda. It's harder for us to put the family second and put ourselves first. It's harder for us to look at everything that we have in our home as not being a manifestation of the Most High. If you see what is in your home as a manifestation of the Most High Heavenly One, it's that much harder for you to walk away from it. Because things are not going to always be what you want them to be. Times can get hard. It's not always going to be easy. But the reality of the situation is that you still that portion of the Most High that is allowing the Most High to experience what's actually happening so that the Most High could in turn help you. So if you're going to, when things get rough, decide that it's better to walk out, then you're not a true representation of the Most High, because the Most High never walks out on us. No matter how horrible we've treated the planet or our countries or even our families, the Most High still provides. Hydrogen never stops being hydrogen. The sun never stops being the sun. Water never stops being the water. That's the Most High. The Most High can just you know what? I'm tired of making water wet. You're around here wasting water. Water ain't wet no more. Talk about having a bad day. You understand what I'm saying? You really would be in some serious trouble.
You put it like that, bro.
Yeah. You know, but that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do. No, I don't feel like being a father anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm just, you know, I get out to go hang with the boy. I want to be a boy again. I want to hang with the boys. I don't feel like being a man today, or this month, or this year. And those women who decide they're going to hang with the girls, I don't want to be a woman. I want to be with the girls. I feel like I didn't get a chance to live my life. So I need to put everything on hold. Like you're saying with DVR. You can't put this thing on hold. These children, they can stop growing because you decide you want to stop growing. It don't work like that. So the purpose of motherhood and of course fatherhood in manifesting the will of the Most High will allow for you to create a righteous seed. If that's the one thing we learn in the Qubtic Church, if we understand that the Qubtic Church, being our mother, is producing us as a righteous seed, and us having children to produce a righteous seed, the more, this is why the first commandment is to be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Because if we had more people like us, and I'm not saying we so special and everybody else so bad, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's people like us in all churches, in all religions. But if you had more people who had respect for each other, who respected the Most High, by whichever name they choose to call it, the earth and the planet and the solar system and the galaxies in the universe would be a much better place. So today's message of motherhood is just as much a message of the Most High Heavenly One, because you cannot separate the two. Neither can you even separate it from fatherhood. So the purpose of motherhood is to be that portion of the Most High that you were destined to be. The He in who He. As the Father is the manifestation of the Most High who, H-U, that He was created to be. And them coming together, they become that divine or dualistic harmony that represents the Most High, that now can generate what? The children of righteous child. Alright, and with that I say, Amen.
Amen.